Hello, all of you wonderful people on the Moist Charlie Clips channel. Today, I want to share with you a story that's very old now, but one that I often go back to and just watch the news clip from because it's such a ridiculously wild situation. So, it's about a man who both died twice and also won the lottery twice, once on camera after he was asked to reenact his first lottery winning. Now, you've probably seen the clip but don't know the full story behind it, so I want to kind of dive into it. I'll start with the news clip that went viral a long time ago.
Heart condition. Suffered an allergic reaction to the drug administered to treat it. His heart stopped for 14 minutes. While revived, he slipped into a coma for 12 days, and his family was advised to turn off his life support.
I hope those jump scares kept you on your toes. Maybe should have given you a warning, but I think it's more fun to surprise you with it. It's an old recording, and for some reason, there's just like this giant wall of static that blasts through occasionally like the boogeyman in the feed. That sounds like when you incorrectly plug a guitar into the amplifier. But it stops after this part here, so you don't have to worry about it again. Or I could be lying, and there could be more jump scares on the way. You never know. About to find out.
I'm only 37, and at 37 I've got so much to look forward to.
He didn't know it, but that included an engagement, a new job, the new car, and even more good luck when we asked Bill to reenact buying his scratchy ticket.
I just won 250,000. I'm not joking.
You're not, are you? Really?
I just won 250,000. So, please don't come in.
You have to. Give us a congratulations, Bill. How are you? Fantastic. Look. It's just...
I won 250,000, honey. I have. We got that new house.
His name is Bill Morgan, and he has a very interesting history to share. So, what you just saw there is Bill Morgan was part of a news segment. He had recently won the lottery. It was a $30,000 Corolla that he had won, and they wanted him to reenact the scratching. So he bought another scratch off and was just going to scratch it for the camera to, go through the motion. It would have been like this standard boilerplate news story. Local man was doing this scratching, and he won a car. But while he was doing this for the reenactment, he actually won $250,000 from the scratch-off in the reenactment. So the back-to-back two-time champ here. And he really just seems like a very wholesome guy. It's just an all-around feel-good story of a good thing happening to a good man who went through a lot of terrible shit. So in 1998, Morgan was a truck driver and he experienced a heart attack. He was taken to the hospital and the doctors were rushing to treat him because they felt that it was so important to get the treatment as quickly as they could. So they didn't look at his medical history, which led to them giving him a treatment that caused an allergic reaction which stopped his heart for 14 minutes. 14 minutes of a flat line. So he was AFK from his body for 14 minutes here. His soul had departed. But they didn't give up. The doctors continued trying to revive him to get his heart pumping again, which they eventually did manage to do, but he wasn't showing any signs of life. So what happened is they assumed that he suffered brain damage and he was likely going to be a vegetable for the rest of his life. So he was in a coma, and the doctors were advising his family that it would be ethical to turn off the life support machine, but his sisters didn't want to. And there was a specialist present at the time who normally worked at Alfred Hospital. He said that they would be willing to take Morgan as long as they could effectively treat him as a guinea pig, trying different things in the hope that one of them would work. As a result, he was moved to Alfred Hospital, where he sat up in bed after 15 days of treatment. The man who should have died after his prolonged period without a beating heart was dubbed a medical miracle. It sounds like a storyline straight out of a soap opera. So they did manage to bring him back to the land of the living here, but there was really no signs of actual life in his body. They assumed he'd be a vegetable and in a coma for the rest of his life, so they advised it might be worth thinking about pulling the cord. But his sisters didn't want to, and then in steps a hero who suggests letting him experiment on him and try other means of getting him back, which in a situation like this, I'll never understand why someone would ever decline that offer. It's not like there's anything to lose. he's already in a vegetative state. Why not let this man come in here and try some other scientific procedures to see if one of them might get lucky, or maybe it even leads to a groundbreaking discovery that works and then helps not only Bill here, but anyone else in a similar situation. It's just, there's really no reason not to. I wouldn't even care what the treatment looked like or how outlandish it was. He could go in there every hour on the hour and spit in his face, and if he says that there's a chance of it working, I'd be like, you know what? Let it rip. Maybe there is a chance. Because, again, why not try? And luckily they did, and they brought Bill back after 15 days in a coma, and the rest is history. 12 months after he survived all of this, he buys a scratch-off ticket, and he wins a car. Then the news channel wants to run a story called Clinically Dead and came back to win the lottery, which isn't exactly a very catchy title for the news segment. That's not exactly like a very gripping title. Make it sound cooler, like a Harry Potter book, like The Dead Man and the Big Win or something. I'm not really sure. We can workshop on that. But even still, this turned out to be an even better turn of fortune for Bill, this news segment, because they asked him to buy another ticket for the reenactment. And with that, he won $250,000. It seems fake. Like, if this was something that happened in a movie, people would criticize it for being unrealistic, but it's real. This guy clinically died twice because it only takes 7 minutes to declare someone dead from the heart attack, and he'd already fallen into the coma. Then his heart stopped beating for 14 minutes, and now he's come back and won the lottery not once but twice, back to back. It's just actual wild craziness. I'm sure a lot of you have heard many of the horror stories that are associated with winning the lottery, where friends and family will sometimes not only just be fucking parasites on the winner, but have even at times outright murdered the person in order to take the winnings. That is something that happens. Or sometimes the person that wins the lottery is extremely irresponsible with the money and ends up beyond broke. So there's always just a huge downside for a lot of lottery winners. And in a story like this, it's so old, I was wondering if we'd even see a follow-up, but luckily this article does have a follow-up. The article is from a site called Online Gambling Websites, which was odd. That seemed like a weird place to do such a deep investigation here, but they do have a follow-up on where he's been since, and it's luckily a pretty overall happy situation. So he said, I won $250K, the house I live in I own, I've got a nice enough car that I own. Sure, I had to retire because the heart got too much and I'm riddled with arthritis, but it was all for the best. It's an attitude that would explain why he won 2 big prizes on the lotto, where the sort of person that believed in the power of positivity, manifestation, and other such nonsense ideas. Regardless, he felt that he had to be grateful for the 22 extra years, stating that he was either on the highest of highs or lowest of lows during his life in the years since his win. So it really seems like since he won, his life has been very normal, average. There's great moments and there's not so great moments, but overall, the win helped him and his family, and it is upsetting that he did have to retire early because of the health problems, but he survived death twice here, and then received a big boost financially, which allowed him and his family to have a little bit extra for, whatever they want to do with it. And it just seems like ever since he's won the lottery those 2 times, it's just been a really normal, average, quiet life. And he seems pretty content with that. So, yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I just find it so fascinating that this actually is real. It's not make-believe. This is a real person, and this actually happened to them. So, yeah, that's really about it. See ya.